Hi there, and welcome to another episode of Chat EbT. I'm your host, Mohammed Ebrahim Tayob. My guest today is the head of marketing for a unique startup company that's taking the world by storm. Please help me in welcoming Tyrese Lungu from FlowFirst AI.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
No, brilliant, man. Tyrese, we met obviously at the South African Future Trust Summit last year. We've been trying to get this chat going, but just, haven't been able. Finally, I'm so happy we're finally getting to chat and chat a little bit about FlowFirst. So right off the bat, tell us a little bit about the company.
All right, so FlowFirst, you can kind of think of FlowFirst as an agentic software solution that streamlines companies' operations, debt collection, whatever you may be working with. An example I can give you is we've got an insurance company that maybe be looking to collect their debts. People haven't been paying their insurance premiums and whatnot. Our solution is easily embedded into their software solution, and it depends if they're using AWS or whatever it may be, but I won't get too technical for for the viewers watching. But in summary, our solution is a agentic AI system that is embedded into a company system, and it automates the system for them. So you can think of your sales associates, right? Every day they're making calls. Have you paid? We need money. We need this. Just the other day, Virgin Active was calling me, right? How much money are they losing from making those calls? Yeah. You're getting staff, and look, we're not completely taking our staff. The last thing we want to do is ever have somebody lose their job. But what we're doing is we're enabling businesses to focus on what actually makes the money, right? You don't want to be focusing on, okay, I need to call this person to pay their invoice or to set their debts and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And it's such a broad technology that we have created, but that's one example that we could use.
No, it's brilliant. And I mean, look, we keep on hearing this phrase, like you gotta be in this AI bubble. If you're not there very soon, you're gonna definitely lose out, right? Yeah. That's everybody's sort of saying that right now. Yep. And I always, I came across this phrase that I love using is that they say like stagnation is equal to regression.
Yes.
So if you're not moving forward, you're actually moving backwards,
100%.
right? So why should companies get involved? Like why should companies call you guys up and get involved?
Well, to put it simply, we're the first company to be doing this, right? A lot of people like to compare us to N8N, but N8N is more of a for you and me to streamline whatever work we're doing. Maybe you don't want to respond to emails and whatnot, but what FlowFirst is really is we're saving people so much money. We just piloted with one other company. We can't mention the name for now because it is on that pilot program, but just over the past couple of months, we've saved them millions from their work. Wow. Yeah, saved them millions. So I think that should be reason enough, right? Is how much money could you save if you didn't have to get all the nitty-gritty done by staff? And remember, staff were human beings at the end of the day, right? There's going to be something like people are calling in sick, people are doing this, people are doing that, which is completely okay. But at the end of the day, it does mean that there is revenue that isn't being capitalized on, or attention, or someone's focus and energy being put towards what actually needs to be done. We can think of how we send emails nowadays, right? So now it's just as simple as, hey, I'm gonna send an email. Back then, you had to write the email, you had to give it to the post box, and then you had to have someone ship it over, right? But now we're looking at it and we're saying, why was that even a thing to begin with? Because the technology wasn't there. But now the technology is, and that's why you should start with FlowFirst, is because the technology is there, the money's there, the pilots are there, the use cases are there. Yeah.
So what's the most common, like if a company calls you up, right? What's their most common request? Like, hey, we want to cut down on admin. We want to increase sales. Like what's the driving factor for them coming to FlowFirst?
That's a very good question. So because we're such a unique enterprise, we have a lot of people coming for various different requests, but the most common one is how can we decrease how much time and revenue we're putting towards our operations by implementing our solution.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
And you mentioned a little bit at the beginning, right? But what makes FlowFirst so different from all, you did mention that you guys are the first sort of company that's doing this, right? But you are seeing quite a bit of these AI companies, AI integration popping up all over the place, right? So what makes FlowFirst different?
It's amazing that we're seeing all of these companies pop up, and we love innovation, right? So without any innovation, we wouldn't even have been able to start this company. But what makes us so different is it's a plug-and-play solution, right? A lot of these companies out there, brilliant companies, I'll say a million times over, is it takes a very steep learning curve to really utilize the tool. We can think of your Chat EbT, most recently Claude, that's come out as well. They're amazing tools, but to fully utilize the tool, there has to be an onboarding program, there has to be a system, you have to understand exactly how to use it and whatnot, but with ours, it's simply a plug-and-play solution, right? So there's, if I can put it down into one thing, it's ease of application, ease of entry, and integration for people's systems.
Now, I'm really glad you used that last word, integration, right? Because earlier you mentioned we can integrate with different companies' softwares, right?
100%.
Talk to us a little bit about that, because obviously I come a lot from the franchise world, right? So now if we look at it, okay, if I'm part of franchise ABC, head office has their own system. Is it something that you guys are able to integrate with? Do we need to get, what's that whole process?
Okay, so the whole process is we firstly want to understand, right? We, at our company, we have a very big saying is, we're not in the business of sales. We're in the business of actually helping other businesses with their solutions. So we firstly want to understand what exactly do you want the solution for? What do you understand the solution must be for from our various marketing campaigns and various exposure points that you've met us at? Secondly, from there, once we get requirements and they do qualify as well, then we would move to the second step, which is trying to pilot their program. Okay, so we'll put it in an enclosed environment in a sandbox, and then we'll say, okay, from a very small sandbox environment that we're going to be using, how did the performance actually work on it? Because again, we're not just going to sell you something, we want to make sure that it actually works for your guys' solution. Once that's done, and we're fully onboarding you, we're going to be giving you an enterprise license that lasts up to a year. And then once we've given you that license, we still have a team that's going to take you through that process as well. For anything extra, there's general support that they may be needing, so on and so forth. Again, it is easy plug and play, but because it's our solution being passed on to you, there are some questions that you are going to have, and we want to make sure that you are fully supported in that.
So I'm putting myself in this scenario, and I got to tell you, I am the most technologically deficient person you will meet. So when I think of things like this, it's quite daunting, right? Yeah. So what do you say to those users? Those maybe a little bit somebody in a little bit of older generation, or somebody like me that might be on the young side, but is just very bad at tech, right? What do you say to those guys where they're just terrified of, okay, this is gonna just be too much for me. It's just gonna be too much information. I'm not gonna understand the concepts. I'm just gonna get lost in all of it. Yeah. What's the message there?
I think the message is, what's your main goal, right? To really understand where you're trying to come with moving forward, right? With your business. Is it, I just want to have something to do? Then, okay, you won't need our solution, right? So again, we'll just be completely honest with you. You wouldn't need it. But ask yourself, what's the goal for my business? Is it revenue? Is it streamlining operations? Is it really trying to be in a position where the business may not even need you at a point? Then when you can answer those questions, then you already have your answer of, okay, maybe I need to start using a little bit of AI as well. But to touch on a little bit back to what I said, people didn't like phones in the beginning.
Very true.
They really didn't. I mean, we weren't too keen with Chat EbT myself. As technologically savvy as I am, I was in college and I was looking at Chat EbT and I was saying, oh, I'm not too sure about using this tool, right? But even so, I may be exposing myself a bit here, but when I'm doing my research papers or I'm doing any sort of marketing research and whatnot, it's always constant research that we're trying to do, right, to better understand our customers. It takes too long to go onto Google and pop it up.
No, 100%.
It takes way too long, right? And you're going to have a million tabs open. And I'm in marketing. I already have a million tabs open every single day. So I think where I would round it up is understand where technology has shifted and how you as yourself adapted to that technology and where you're seeing the benefit of that. But we also have to factor something in, the cost to benefit ratio.
Yes.
Right? Because we can look at how great the technology is, but how much is it going to cost me in comparison to my benefit, right? There's people out there that are using the latest model of Claude. They're paying about, I think it's about $100, which is maybe 1.6, 1.7 in today's value. And when you look at what they're doing day to day, they're just saying, oh no, I need some help with my emails. Like you're paying too much just to help you with your emails, okay? So also look at that as well. If I'm going to be spending X amount of money, how much value am I going to be receiving from that, right? And at where does that point intersect? Now, you don't have to draw a whole graph and everything. You can simply do, okay, I'm spending $100 a month, 1,700 Rand. How much money am I making from spending that 1,700 Rand? Which is why we've seen major companies such as, I won't name too many out here, but we can think of, I'm trying to remember the names now, they're just all over the place. We'll move it on. We'll get back to the companies exactly. But
no, but I do get what you're saying. It's just taking such a, like it's moving at such a fast pace. I had a guest that was here a couple of weeks ago, and the discussion she actually said is, there's so many AI tools, and by the time we finish this discussion, there'll probably be another one.
Oh yeah,
and that's what's happening.
Yeah. I think Claude just came out with something recently to help with design. I mean, I looked at it, I was like, oh my word, these people technology is moving way too fast, right? So I guess you also just have to sit there and you have to say, okay, what am I going to be solid with? Or am I going to be constantly shifting from this to this to this to that? Which is why you should also be looking at, does the company provide a solution where I'm not going to constantly be needing consistent updates and upgrading this and upgrading that. So we work on a licensed solution, so whatever upgrades we do make to our system is pretty much going to be on hand, and you guys won't be paying any extra from that. But yeah, I hear what you're saying.
I'm going to ask you a very fun question.
Okay.
For the thing there, right? Because this is something that we always hear. And I know I've spoken about, integrating AI, but this is generally the question that you always get back is data security, right? So I guess, I mean, I'd love to pump in all my sales and get a nice little report of analytics and where I need to do better and when I need to do what I'm doing wrong. But I think there's always that fear that if somebody had to go and say, can you pull up the financial statements of Chat EbT for the last 3 years, and it's just going to pull up all my information. So I think there is that worry, unfortunately, and that's why there's a lot of people that are sort of hesitant in getting their businesses integrated with AI, right?
100%.
What's the challenge there, and how do you guys combat that?
I'm so glad you asked this question. So the challenge there really is companies, especially these new startups that are utilizing AI to build their technologies and solutions, is they want to build their foundation on sand, to be very honest. They really do, right? And I'm like, look, if it's working for you 100%, but if somebody asks, what's the data security looking like, don't start sweating now. And I think that's it. A lot of companies are just moving way too fast without worrying about data security, right? And remember, data security isn't just okay, I'm going to prompt my Chat GPT website to make sure that there's no problem. No, it still needs to be going through a company, right? And that brings me on to my next point. Make sure that your company has gone through the validation process of getting their ISO 27001. That's something we received. And also your SOC 2 Type 2. When you do have those two, not only does your company prove to themselves that the data itself is okay, because mind you, it's going to be an audit, right? They'll say, okay, before you look at getting any major clients on or taking on customers, depending on what your type of vertical is, B2B, B2C, let's fix this issue over here. Because okay, cool, you guys have this, you guys have that, but everybody has access to that admin portal over there. Not everybody should have access. So it's also protection for yourself as well. Let's say I'm working for you, right? And I accidentally get admin access to the transactions. 2 weeks later, you see that there was a transaction for 10,000 Rand. I'm going to be looked at, right? So I would tell every company that's out there that is getting into AI, or any business or person that's concerned with how a company uses their data, ask them if they've got their ISO 27001 and make sure that they've also got their SOC 2 Type 2. It's okay just to have the ISO, really that's more like the baseline one, but having the ISO 27001, 27002, which we're also working at getting, and also the SOC 2 Type 2. It's a lot of abbreviations, but also get the SOC 2 Type 2 as well. Then your company is basically bulletproof, and it helps you in terms of when you're pitching to investors, because they do ask those tense data security questions.
I mean, unfortunately, it is a big concern, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think it's a lot of worry that people have with regards to that.
Yeah, 100%. So, I think for me, the biggest concern for me in general with technology is the speed that it's moving at without the compliance of that data security. So,
Yeah, definitely.
100%. But yeah, that was a good question. That was fun. I love that one.
Now, as I understand, you guys are either, and please correct me, right? So you guys are going through with the next venture called FlowPay.
Yes.
Right?
100%.
Is that operating at the moment, or is it still in the works? And tell us a little bit more about that.
Definitely operating. We absolutely love it. We cracked over about 2,000 merchants to date. And what FlowPay is, in essence, is a WhatsApp payment solution where customers can also have their website on it. So the reason we created the solution is because not to just target those that already have businesses, but it's to target the underprivileged individuals who don't have the technology, who don't have the understanding of it. And when we think of it, right, when you're, say for example, you're selling some shoes, right? Yes, you can go to Facebook Marketplace, but maybe you're going onto your WhatsApp community group and you're saying, hey, I'm selling a pair of shoes, I'm looking for a pair of shoes, or I'm wanting this, I'm wanting that. The business conversation is already happening on WhatsApp, right? That's why WhatsApp Business existed in the first place. WhatsApp realized that, hey, there's a lot of people having conversations on WhatsApp for transactions. Why don't we build WhatsApp Business as well? So when we looked at it, we said to ourselves, how many people are in the underprivileged circumstance that are doing this on a daily basis? Because we didn't want to bring in a new technology, right? Because we're, again, startup, right? So we, we were quite limited in terms of what we could introduce. So we decided, let's build a solution that's cost effective, not just for us, but also for the people out there. And they understand WhatsApp. There is hundreds and hundreds of people that are using WhatsApp to transact daily. Thousands, if not millions, actually. I think it's in the millions last time I checked, that are transacting daily on WhatsApp, but they don't have their store on there. And then they still have to focus on doing the manual work. Hey, did you pay the invoice? Please provide proof of payments, all of those things. And we didn't want to leave it at that. We didn't just want to say, hey, you guys can transact here. We also included a WhatsApp store on top of that. So you just take all of your products through a PDF that you have. We can even do it for you. It's going to pull all of your images, all of your pricing, all of your items that you've got for sale, put it on your WhatsApp store, and then you still get an AI assistance as well. So you can focus on, again, what actually makes money for you. Because we're not focused on just getting that percentage of transaction. We're focused on making you grow. So it's like, hey, let the AI handle the bits and pieces. How much is this? Do you guys have this in stock, ABC? And then you guys focus on what makes money. And that's how we're able to see such success today in such a short span of time.
No, that's quite brilliant, man.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. So how did you, you know, like I said, AI for me is very, very daunting. Has this always been a passion of yours, or, you know, how did you get into this field?
I guess it really started from my ADHD being all over the place. So when I got to college, it was a whole new world, to be honest, because I was so used to the idea of, oh, the teacher's going to do this for you, the teacher's going to do that, and help you with this, and help you with everything that's out there. And then I got to college, and then there was an assignment I had to do. It was for accounting, and I sucked at accounting. I was the worst, and it wasn't that I really sucked in it, I just didn't have the extra materials that I needed, you know? So what I ended up doing was I heard about this thing called Chat EbT, and I was like, okay, let me see what Chat EbT is about. And I asked it, hey, this is my assignment, can you give me some test papers on this? So it gave me those test papers, and then I went from about a 40 average per semester to going into, I think it was 70% on it, just from getting that. And that was from ChatGPT. It was free. I was using the free tool. I was in college. I was broke. What? So that's what really struck me by it, is there's this tool that does that. What else can it do? You know, and then we got the other tools coming out, such as your Gemini, and now Claude. Oh, my word.
Claude is amazing.
It's
thoroughly enjoying it at the moment,
Right. So I think that's what really got me into it. Why I got into it in the first place, obviously there was school and things like that, but I've always just loved technology. I've always been obsessed with it. I loved how we took a rock and made it think. All right, so you got like those silicon wafers that come from rocks and everything. And it just fascinated me. Maybe not so much the technology itself and AI, but how humans are able to develop tools like this just from something in between the brain. Yeah.
And I like the point that you made there, because I agree with you there, is that, once you figure out something that AI is doing, it's always, hey, you know what else can it do? My niece was actually mentioning to me the other day that she actually was taking her study notes and having it, I want to say this properly. Oh, yes. Yeah. So she actually, the prompt was to create a podcast for her of her study notes, study material, so that while she was driving in the car, she could listen to it on the way to campus or to her exams.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, didn't ever think that would be a thing, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, it's amazing to see the way that people are coming with different creative ways of utilizing it. And it goes back to what you said there at the beginning. I don't think it's about taking jobs away from people.
Yeah.
It's about being able to give people these opportunities instead of, taking the time to pull the data, spending that same time, but instead of, I'm going to take 2 hours to pull the data and sort the data and then an hour to analyze it. Now I got 3 hours to analyze it and really get to the crux of what's happening here. And I think that's the big opportunity that we get from it.
Yeah, 100%. And I loved how you mentioned that when you mentioned hours that it has spent towards this thing. It's like we don't want to be spending so much time into this. We want to focus on, hey, where is my money coming from? Just get an answer. Where is it coming from? Okay, and then we move on and then we take actions from there. If we're seeing a dip in this month's quarter, okay, can we analyze where exactly it's coming from? So on and so forth. But there's a stress about that I also get concerned about, which is the hallucinations. All right.
So actually, I've heard of this term and I never really understood it. So I'm glad because you're going to explain it to me now. Please, can you elaborate on that just a bit?
Yeah, 100%. So what hallucination is, or at least AI's hallucinations, is no matter what you tell it and what reasoning you give it, it just assumes it's right. So there's this very popular one. I'm trying to remember what it was now. You asked it to spell a certain word, or ask it, it was how many T's are in the word December. There's no T's in December. It said, there's December. It's right between the D and the E, right there, sitting in the middle. No matter how many times, I swear, go look this up on TikTok. It's a real thing. Maybe even experiment it yourselves, those viewers sitting at home. Maybe it's improved now because it's had the training model, but you sit there and you argue with this thing and you say, there's no way there's a T in December, and it's still there. And that's what fallacy is in a summary. It's AI that has an ego and won't take being called wrong. Yeah, that's what
I actually I'm laughing because I actually was sitting the other day and arguing with AI, and there was a point where I was going, why am I arguing with this thing? But 100%, you get sort of like so drawn in. But,
you really do.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, and that's the interesting thing. So it's another question we get asked a lot when we're in these investors and client meetings or potential leads that may become clients, or vice versa. They ask us, okay, but there's this hallucination thing that happens. How do you guys protect from that? So what we do is we put it in-house, right? So we put it into your guys' system. And just to put it simply, I'm really trying my best not to get too technical with it.
I see that.
Yeah, so we put it into your guys'.
We appreciate it, by the way.
No problem. I was busy writing notes in my head. Okay, I can't say that. Let me just say system. So we put it into the company's system, and from there, it's trained on their data, right? So instead of going into Google and trying to get an answer for something, it's going to pull the answer specifically from your guys' data.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can think of a question may have like, how much do you guys charge per month if this is my credit score, right? It may, if it was just Chat EbT, it would have said, generally speaking, this is what companies charge roundabouts, but be sure to ask the person, maybe ask someone that's in customer service and whatnot. But we didn't want that. So because we've put it in-house, it's purely trained on your data, and it says, oh, okay, because you have a credit score of 670, we can provide this, 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 and that. Why are you looking for it? It even carries on the conversation as well.
Okay.
Right? And then from there, what it does is it doesn't action it, right? Again, we don't want anybody to lose their jobs. It doesn't action anything. It simply takes it to the, let's say, the banker, okay? And it says, hey, this person, I believe with an 80% confidence, we get a confidence score, this is why this person should be approved for this 100,000 Rand loan. And then the person is going to look at it and he's going to say, okay, okay, yes, 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 maybe. And then you can still reply back to say, okay, we need to make sure you have this, this, and that. Once they have that, the AI comes back, a little bit of a higher score, still does the same thing. And then from there, it's like, okay, yeah, he's pretty good. And then you move forward from there. That takes 10 minutes at most. But now you have to, you know, when you usually apply for a loan, it takes about 24 hours. My most recent one took about 24 hours to get. This one takes minutes, right? So how many loans, extra loans are you getting out there as a bank? And how much interest are you going to be receiving from that, from these loans that have been pushed out way faster by simply implementing our solution that speed lines the entire, how can I say, the entire nitty-gritty process and nitty-gritties of, okay, now I need to make sure with this. Okay, now I need to speak to finance. Now I need to speak to this. Yeah.
No, brilliant. Before we wrap up, there's always ask this question. What message would you like people to take away from our chat today?
One message I could take from our chats, obviously, start with FlowFirst, and I wouldn't be a marketer if I didn't say.
Love it.
Get started with FlowFirst and FlowPay. Check us out. But if there's one main message, one that comes from the head and the heart, is technology is moving quickly. Don't be scared to try it.
Brilliant. I love that.
Okay. Right. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. Firstly, it's such a pleasure. I feel like I've learned a lot. Firstly, the bad technological side of me.
Glad to help.
Thank you so much, man, for joining us today. It's such a pleasure. I've loved seeing what you guys do, and I can't wait to see what you guys carry on doing, and the way you guys grow. So best of luck with that. And we're definitely gonna have many more chats. So thanks, man. I'm glad we finally got to do this.
Yeah, same here. All right, thank you so much.
Perfect. All right, that's our show.
Okay.
It's a bit scary.
It is.
Right? Let's not forget to try it.
Yeah.
My name is Mohammed Ebrahim Tayob, and you're watching Chat EbT. Until next time.